In the vast desert of northern Saudi Arabia lies an ancient oasis, a place whispered in both biblical texts and Babylonian records. This is Tayma, a city whose story bridges scripture, archaeology, and the fate of empires. Could the ruins of Tayma be tied to Nebuchadnezzar, the powerful king of Babylon who once defied God and was struck down in madness? Or perhaps they connect to his successor, Nabonidus, who mysteriously disappeared from Babylon for nearly a decade.
I'm Scott Oliver, and I'm with Living Passages, and it's amazing. We've come to this point in Saudi Arabia that I found that because of the climate and because the Saudis want to preserve things, we have very old things that we can't see anywhere else. It's an amazing place.
Tayma's name surfaces throughout ancient history, in caravan routes, royal inscriptions, and prophetic echoes. Scripture gives us clues. In the book of Genesis, Joseph's brothers sell him to Midianite traders, likely traveling near this very oasis on their way to Egypt. Later, Moses, fleeing Egypt, journeys into the land of Midian. Tayma lay along the same well-worn paths of ancient trade and escape. But it's in the 6th century BC that Tayma may play its most unexpected role in biblical history. In Daniel chapter 4, King Nebuchadnezzar, full of pride, is warned in a dream. He ignores the advice of the prophet Daniel. God strikes him with madness. He lives like an animal, his hair grown long, eating grass like an ox. Only after acknowledging the sovereignty of the Most High God is his reason restored. But then the narrative shifts. Suddenly we are in Daniel 5, and Belshazzar is on the throne. Where did Nebuchadnezzar go? Why the silence in between? Historical records and recent archaeological discoveries in Tayma may provide an answer. In the mid-6th century BC, Babylonian king Nabonidus left his royal court and spent nearly 10 years in Tayma. He didn't abdicate, he simply withdrew. He is known to history as Babylon's last king, and the reason for his absence remains one of history's great puzzles.
We're standing here at a castle, Nabonidus' castle. That name might not be familiar to you, but some of our collective research has shown that this might be the same person that we call, or that our scripture calls, Nebuchadnezzar. We know that Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel had several confrontations. We're not sure if Nebuchadnezzar believed in Daniel's God as the only God or as one God of the many that they believed in. But this possibly, where we're standing, could be his castle. Why would he be here in Saudi Arabia?
Was it politics, rebellion, or something more personal?
We know that there's sort of in Scripture, there's a jump. We don't hear too much about secession between Nebuchadnezzar and some other kings. We find, if we look at Scripture and other historical documents, that he was very ill. And we think that Nabonidus came here because he was ill. It was a warmer place, and it was a sort of a sanctuary for him. This might explain why we get a jump from him to possibly what might be his son or grandson, Belshazzar.
A fragment of a royal stele, discovered among the ruins of Tayma, bears imagery and inscriptions associated with Nabonidus. It references precious stones and royal construction, all pointing to the likelihood that Nabonidus built a palace here, far from the seat of his empire. Why here? Some scholars suggest it was for health reasons. The desert air, the salt-rich environment, may have offered a kind of healing sanctuary. To this day, locals believe in the restorative powers of Tayma's salt flats, wide plains where water rises and falls, leaving behind shimmering white mineral traces.
If we look out, we basically could see salt flats. The water comes up, the water goes down periodically and leaves a residue of salt. Salt water is good for health, and he was here for health reasons, as we just talked about.
It's here, among these ancient flats, that history and prophecy may overlap. Tayma wasn't just isolated, it was strategic. It sat along Arabian trade routes connecting Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Levant, a place where merchants, prophets, and exiles crossed paths for millennia. Surrounding Tayma is one of the most impressive ancient fortifications in the world, a massive wall nearly 15 kilometers long, originally thought to be built by Nabonidus. But archaeological evidence now dates this structure back almost 4,900 years, deep into the Bronze Age. A wall of protection for what was once a flourishing oasis city.
This city has around 15,000 kilometers of wall. I've never seen, and this is some of the oldest wall in this whole of Saudi Arabia. It's amazing. Let me do a correction. The wall is 15,000 meters circumventing the city, and that wall, think about it, is 4,900 years old, just like the dam. It's pretty amazing.
Nearby, a dam, also nearly 5,000 years old, still holds water. Despite wars, erosion, and attempts to destroy it during conflict, the structure remains. What kind of knowledge, what kind of craftsmanship could produce such resilience?
We find a dam that we visited yesterday, and the dam was designed and built 4,900 years ago. Imagine that. We're looking at a period of time that we can't even imagine, but we saw the skill and the artistry there. It's still standing. It's still holding water. This is amazing. They tried to tear it down in some of the scuffles, we were told, but they couldn't. Think about that. What structure can we design that would last that long and not break down?
This was no backwater. Tayma was a fortified city, ready for travelers, traders, rulers, and possibly exiled kings. Some scholars have speculated that Nabonidus and Nebuchadnezzar may even be the same person, or at the very least, connected by dynasty, bloodline, or succession. If Nabonidus was Nebuchadnezzar's son-in-law, he may have inherited not just the throne, but the spiritual consequences of pride. Because back in Babylon, the writing, quite literally, was on the wall. Daniel 5 tells the story of Belshazzar hosting a drunken banquet in Babylon. He defies the God of Israel, using sacred temple vessels plundered from Jerusalem. In the midst of his blasphemy, a mysterious hand appears and writes a message no one can read. Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. Daniel is summoned to interpret it. God has numbered your kingdom and brought it to an end. You have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. That very night, Belshazzar is slain, and the once mighty Babylonian Empire falls to the Persians without a battle.
And we know the story of Belshazzar because we know the handwriting on the wall when he used some of the temple objects, and then he was, God said, your kingship, your empire will end, and you're going to be taken over by the Persians. We're here at a place that I never thought I would be standing among possibly 4,600-year-old structure, which was this place where he came, as a sanctuary. Amazing. The rooms are still here. We're not sure what the rooms were used for. That's why we need more research. And they're doing it.
But while the final chapter of Babylon ends in Belshazzar's palace, another chapter, just possibly, ends here, in Tayma, a place where a king may have sought healing, a place where an empire's fate lingered in silence. The Bible is a summary, but these ancient places, these ruins, fill in the gaps. They tell us what the text leaves unspoken. They give context to prophecy and bones to the narrative.
Bible, is a summary, and I found that if you want to fill the gaps in, you've been wondering about, travel. Because when you see stuff like this, it fills the gaps in. And I know in the cars and we're driving around and we talk to the Saudis. I've learned so much about their history from them. And then if we blend our history with theirs, we may get a more complete history. So
In Tayma, the stones still stand. The palaces are ruined, but not erased. The salt still glistens under desert sun, and the dam still holds its line against time. Here, in the stillness, you can almost hear the echo of ancient warnings, that God weighs nations just as he weighs kings, and that no throne, no matter how powerful, is beyond the reach of divine judgment.
this traveling in Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and these places, I think open up a whole new window for biblical knowledge. I invite you to come.
Come with us. Walk where empires fell. Stand where prophecy may have unfolded. Visit livingpassages.com to experience Tayma, where scripture meets stone.